Last week, you heard more intense testimonies from some wonderful women. Last Wednesday, you heard Kalila Riga's story. She was sold by her mother when she was just a toddler. She was brokered in Las Vegas by a twisted lawyer and judge. She was adopted by a couple from South America. I'm not even sure how the hell that happens. But then she was trafficked by them. Ultimately, she was lost to her real family for over 37 years. Her life was interrupted by trafficking. We followed that up with a story from Linda Harlos on the following Saturday, whose daughter was trafficked. Once again, we see a good and loving home. Her daughter, however, was at a party and was drugged and gang raped at that same party. He was called a liar and ostracized for reporting it by friends and family alike. Come to find out, she got pregnant at that party. Feeling lonely, shamed, and vulnerable, now she has to also provide for a little one. And up rides her knight in shining armor that's just ready, willing, and able to fill that void. But it was all just a lie, and he takes advantage of her instead. Once again, in week 2, I want to share with you my takeaways. But I'm also going to invite you to share your takeaways again on YouTube. So find these stories, post comments. Let's talk about these things. But let me tell you my takeaways here, real quick. In Kalila's story, this one really struck a chord with me. We hear about it all the time. And you guys know I was a child of adoption. I did foster care for a very short time. But we hear about it all the time that there's crooked people in the system of the courts, in the system of the foster care. And in our minds, we want to think that it's so far-fetched. And really what we do is we just go back to our regularly scheduled programs. But Kalila couldn't. She was trapped in the system, in this crooked system, and now being trafficked in South America. Switching over to Linda's story, we find a similar thread to Kristen's that we heard earlier. The predator looked for a vulnerability and exploited it. The takeaway for me on this one is that Linda's home sounded like a great home. It's one that most of us would have enjoyed growing up in. It was full of hugs and kisses and love and touch. But as she stated, the one place that we all need to work on is that our kids need to know that we love them no matter what. She says this because even though they tried the best that they could with being parents and raising their kids right, that things can still happen. And our most precious gifts that are given to us in this world, they need to be able to see us. They need to be able to see through the clouds of shame, to be able to see their parents and know that it's okay, that it's going to be okay. Now, in the coming week, in week 3, we're going to take a little bit of a different path. This week, we're going to hear from some warriors out there in the field. On Wednesday, October 25th, Heidi Chance will be our highlighted guest. Heidi's worked some undercover work in trafficking and law enforcement. And I want to say that was 17 years worth. And now she provides education and resources to help law enforcement do better in this arena of trafficking and human exploitation. There's a lot of gaps in law enforcement right now around this, and she's trying to help all those groups become better. She was really drawn in when she was a resource officer at a school, and she saw one of her previous students, who, by the way, was still underage, in trouble for providing resources to guys. And through that conversation, she was drawn to this work. And then the following Saturday in week 3, we're going to be talking to Kevin Metcalf. Now, uh, Kevin is awesome. Kevin is one of my favorite people on the face of the planet right now. We've only talked once, but Kevin was really my first contact into this world. And I know that Kevin is an extremely busy gentleman. He has a lot going on, and he's known by everybody. But I'm really thankful for Kevin because I actually started following Kevin on LinkedIn quite some time ago, and I was interested by the things that he was posting, and I was drawn to him, so I reached out to him, and with I don't know how much he thought about it, but his message to me was, "Yes, I would love to." Uh, but anyways, from that meeting, I planned on just talking to Kevin. But from that meeting, he introduced me to so many more people that ultimately became this series. So Kevin's done some tremendous things with helping law enforcement, globally, uh, with the groups that he's worked in. He was with the National Child Protection Task Force and has recently moved over to the Sentinel Foundation. Tremendous guy, um, does some amazing work. Anyways, you're going to be very impressed by that interview with the things that he's done. So I want to remind everybody, this series, it's not for listening enjoyment. It's not for casual listening. Rather, it's here to do 3 precise things, okay? It's here to increase your knowledge on this topic so that we actually know what it is. The second thing it's going to do is provide you resources that each one of these guests provide, resources that you can find on my website. And then the last thing, number 3, this is a call to action, people. I am calling you into the fray. We need to enter this war, whether it's financially, with our time, talent, treasures, whatever it is. You're being called right now to step in and perform some function within it. It is the largest evil plaguing our country and our world, in my opinion. Don't get distracted. So you can find these resources and also direct links to all these amazing guests, pages, their websites, so that you can support them in their mission as well. And you can find all of that at www.fireforgeleader.com/CTR. Now, before I wrap this up, I once again want to give a huge shout out to a friend of mine, JP Roberts. JP is the person that did the emotional or promotional work on the front end of this series, and he is a true artist, people. I encourage you to check out his work at www.jproberts.com. And I don't care whether it's an illustration for a kid's book, digital watercolor, 3D modeling, or a storyboard. He also dips his toes into photography. He can do that for your products, nature, architectural. It doesn't matter. He can do it. He also does work in the digital design space. So, billboards, magazine, marquees, or other high end digital designs. Or if you need a motion reel, this guy does it all. So, go check it out. Once again, that's www.jproberts.com.